Mute Maniac here, and this video is a updated version of the Hero Rolls video that I did in my Noob series. I'll probably I'll keep the old Hero Rolls video. I'll pull it out of the playlist. This is going to be the replacement video for that one. I've spent, man, I think I have something like 150 hours of recorded video since I started the channel, and even more time than that doing playtesting. So I've gotten a lot more information and I've learned a lot more about this game. And so the way this is going to work is I'm going to go into each hero. I'm going to tell you what their role is. And so when you're making your team composition, you could use this tier list to kind of figure out what piece you're missing. And this is going to be based on my experience as well as my opinion. And I'm also going to consider taking the character and adding accessories and legacies to them to make them the best version of that role as possible, because that's what I do in the builds that I'm running. Doesn't mean that they're, that I'm 100% right, but it definitely has some. I think this will give you some ideas. The closer to the right the character, the higher on the usability list, in my opinion. So there are going to be characters that fit both the role down here as well as the carry. But if someone is a carry who I think is more important as a carry than their role, then they're going to go in the carry list. That's going to be how I do it. And I'm going to pick some characters arbitrarily and kind of get things going. So we have carry. These are people who are going to be your primary damagers. You're going to be building your relics and team around this person. Warrior or field control. This is a body on the field or a hero that is there to get other characters to be pushed, pulled, moved around, get in the way, just things like that. Pure tanks. These are people who you throw in front of all the damage. Healers. If the care hero does nothing else but heal, they're going to go here. Mage and damagers. So this is going to be like your ranged characters. If they don't do anything else and all they do is damage, then this is going to be where I put them. Debuff, stun, and utility heroes. Heroes who are most useful for this thing. General support. So heroes that might do CC clear and really nothing else. And summoners. So support might get eliminated. We'll see how this goes as we roll through. Summoners, there's only 3. It's important to, if you're a new player, to know who they are and that kind of stuff. So we'll just kind of keep going on that. So I'm going to start by pulling out some of the primary carries of the game. And some of this has changed, but the carries are as follows. You have Ian. You have early Ian. Ian's the beginning carry. Garam is a carry. I'll go into each one of these. Kanak is a carry. Belina technically right now is a support carry, but the amount of damage that she does is so damn high that you kind of have to put her in the carry column. I can't call Hanzi a carry anymore. He technically can be used that way, but he's not viable. And that's another thing I should say. You have to be viable in the role that I'm putting you in. We have, of course, Victoria as a carry. I have tons of Victoria content. She is fantastic. We have Priya as a carry. Yeah, we have a lot of carries, guys. We have Mel as a carry, and I'll sort them out in a second. And we have one more. I'm looking for Neria. Where's the hat? I'm looking for the hat. There you are. Okay. And as of right now, it pretty much goes in this order. For me, I put Garam ahead of Kanak, but Kanak has more damage potential and usability than Garam. Belina, it's tough. These guys are tied, basically. We probably go here, here, and here. So this is kind of your carry list as of right now. Nira can clear Chapter 13 and 14 in Hero Lock by herself with Barbarian set. She's actually really solid in Strife right now as well. Her burst damage is out of control when you mix it with Mace Relic and Scope. Kanak can do... I've seen Kanak do 100 million damage in the right conditions. Garam can single-handedly clear Corrupt 11 and 12 by herself in Hero Lock and is a force of nature. Belina, one of the top raid damagers, can make any crappy team a good team. Does an insane amount of damage. I'd probably put Victoria over her, honestly, though. You have Victoria, the exploit that uses movement boots combined with Mace and Victoria's First Awakening creates burst damage between 500,000 to as high as 18 million in raid in the first hit of the game. If you do pushback and stun strategies, absolutely broken. Priya is an all-rounder, lots of damage, also has a built-in stun, really solid. Ian is one of the top physical raid damagers out there, can put out consistent damage, has a lot of synergy with a mage that has the legacy that creates the illusion copy. Very, very strong. Mel can clear a lot. Mel can clear almost every single normal run, aside from 14, with ease. And then, of course, you have Evan, who this guy carries 1 through 10. I actually want to throw another carry up here, and it's going to sound a little wacky, but I'm going to throw Shelda up here, probably in front of Mel. So I wish I could duplicate like these characters so that I could also have them in their other uses. But Shelda, with her Second Awakening and all of the supporting relics and accessories right now, Shelda can beat 14. Shelda can do a lot on the normal carrying side. Simply because she has a lot of sustain now with the magic armor. I don't know if that magic armor debuff screws her or not, but I do have a video with her on there. So that's going to be your general carries. If you're trying to do, so these guys will clear pretty much Chapter 13 and Chapter 14 is going to be Neria. All corrupt chapters will be Kanak. He beats everything. Garam beats Chapter 11 and 12 pretty consistently. Victoria, if you're willing to go through a lot of extra work, can beat all the chapters. You have to have a really tight kit with her. You might notice that Segula is not on my list, but Segula is also a carry, and I don't have Sargula, the new character. She's not on this software because they haven't added Sargula yet. But Sargula would probably also count as a carry because Sargula sucks when not 100% focused on. That's my opinion. And so, you could maybe do a tank or, with Sargula if that's not the case. But, you would probably do like worse than Belina, probably worse than Belina, above Priya. Sargula would be right here as far as carries go. And that's subjective too, because the damage potential for Priya is actually probably higher. So with that being said, if you are a new player and you have any of these heroes, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feel free to pour resources into these heroes. These guys are solid. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that they're going to be relevant, no matter what happens in the future in terms of new content. They're solid, strong heroes. Okay, burst damage is a thing. A lot of the content is going in the way of burst damage. So with that being said, let's start working on the rest of this stuff, and we'll go from there. We're going to go Enrath in the warrior field control. Enrath jumps in the back line and distracts backliners. Has a decent amount of damage. Great in the first 10 chapters. We'll find his ranking pretty soon. A Gaith tank. We're going to kind of put him right here. Absorbs damage. We'll rank him on the tank side of things. Basically is a healer, only heals. That's all it's all we're good for. Basically a damager. Doesn't do much in the way of field control. Doesn't do in the way in utility. You can technically carry with Artemis. It's technically possible. And there are people who swear by this guy in PvP. So going into our first stunner, you have Asak, I think is her name. I call her May because she looks like May from Overwatch, so we're going to go there. We're going to go tank. Can be a tank or a damager. Not a great hero overall. Not better as a damager than a tank. If you have this character, he can get you through 10. But that's going to be as far as you go with usefulness on this character. One of the best support characters in the game. Mana Battery makes all other heroes better. I would say one of the strongest ones. Of course, because of all the support heroes are going to be situational. They're all basically top. Now we have field control. Field control, way better than Enrath. This guy will go to the person that's closest to the enemy and basically knock the enemy back and give protection to that hero. Really great pair with Victoria. Just good in general. Just good in general. A lot of sustain. Not a lot of damage, but there are times where you might be tying damage with the enemy that you're fighting, and it's him, Behemoth, that's jumping and pushing enemies around. That's helping with just controlling the battlefield that gets you through those kinds of fights. Of course, we do have Bommy. I just did a Bommy raid video where Bommy ended up doing something like almost carrying past Saris, so that's pretty interesting. Kind of a crappy hero. This guy gets you bronze weapons. Not really used. Not enough damage. Sustain's not really a thing. Better than Enrath only because you get tier 1 equipment. But Enrath has more damage and attack speed. Kathy, not a great damager. Technically you can, again, it's like she's better than this guy, but not by much. So yeah, these three are tough. I've got to do some more testing with these guys. Shunga is just a warrior, just a body on the field, has a bit of sustain. I have a suspicion that the very next accessory that they come out with is going to be for melee fighters that do magic damage. I think there's going to be another accessory that comes out that's going to make her and all of the other characters like her, like Jinju, relevant. But right now, mid-level, whatever. The thing is, if you put maxed out equipment and relics on any of these heroes, including Chunga, you can make them do things. There's a Strife video that I ran where there was a Chunga solo Strife team that made me laugh, and they got to like round 18 before they crapped out. Dandelion, best tank in the game, basically. Heals self, exposes weakness, reduces attack speed. It's high sustain, just the best right now. As far as, I see her as a tank because That's what she's best at, but she's also stunning and doing debuff and utility. But I'm keeping her in tank. Daniel actually has a solid stun kit right now. Solid stun kit. Definitely worth looking at. I did some experimenting. He needs a bit more sustain. He needs like a steel set, a really strong, overpowered steel set. But 2 Daniels on the front line, they can stun down, dude. They can stun down. Daniel and Dandelion together are actually a really decent team. So I almost feel like if they could update Daniel to have a better, more HP and some built-in defense, you could put Fear Set on Daniel and he could be a one-man debuff machine. But that's just not what you got. Draco, kind of a shitty mage. I'm putting the mage and damagers together because it's like, yeah, it's spell damage, but damage is kind of damage at the end of the day. The highest I've ever seen Draco do is 6 million damage on dummies over 15 seconds. That was one of my builds, with relics and all that kind of stuff. He's kind of a life steal 2 blocks away mage, but not enough sustain to be useful. So, is what it is. Our first summoner, Elizabeth, very high sustain, has utility because of her second awakening. So, yeah, very good summoner. In the tanks, I would put her right below Dandelion, but because she's a summoner and all summoners essentially help the Void Relic, because the way Void Relic works is you get 30% team attack and spell bonus whenever an ally dies, and she makes little minions that are considered allies. So she's a really fantastic summoner, and that's where I'm going to put her, and you put her right down there. We do have an attack support hero that heals in. I'm probably honestly gonna go utility with her. She is a support and she is a healer, but her knockback utility is actually really, really strong. She's tough. Like, she can be a healer. She's a better healer than he is, but she also gives people knockback, and she can also give protection with her other awakening or second awakening, which is also really strong. I have videos where I've done 4 of her on a team, and she, as long as the attack speed is high, she can keep pretty much the entire team alive while doing damage. What she does the best, though, in my opinion, is gonna be utility with knockback. That's gonna be where she's that's tough, man. She's not a field control person. I'll leave her in healer because someone's gonna screenshot this and be like, "What the hell?" We're gonna go for all. He was debuffed. I think he does about the same amount of damage as Bommy. They're in the same world. You could technically throw Fear Set on him, and it would be useful, but not as useful as other players. Really crappy support. Gidnil adds spell blocks. There are people who play Strife with him and do like 100 of him, and he just keeps making spell blocks and keeps people alive. Best utility hero in the game. In terms of stun, super strong, right? Super strong. I kind of want to actually do this. Let's add a row above. Let's do this. So we're going to do stunners and debuffers. Okay? Because I think it's important to distinguish the difference on these guys. So these guys are all stun, and debuff are going to be people who add exposed weakness, and so we'll get there. So we have Mara. Mara is a summoner. She also does expose weakness. She's also now officially permanently has to be used with Belina because Mara has become part of Belina's kit for her second awakening to do about 30% more DPS. Basically, it says if you have a Mara, you get more mana regen. So yeah, we're just making up rules at this point. We'll do mage damager, range damagers. Hanzi has more damage potential than basically everybody here. There is a Hanzi update, so we'll keep an eye out for that. And actually, I kind of have to put Bami ahead of Hanzi right now because of Windset makes Bami stronger with the special damage than the top damage potential of Hanzi currently. Hella sucks. Don't even bother. She needs about 300%, maybe another 300 or 400% more damage to be relevant. She has a cap on her attack speed. Her attack speed is like this 2-second countdown before she does an AoE to 6 players or 6 enemies, but they cap it at a certain point. So you can't, right then and there, they basically stopped any DPS scaling you could possibly have on her, and your only option is to scale spell damage, and there's a hard cap on what you could do with that, so no thank you. Jinju is basically the same as Chunga. If I were playing chapters 1 through 10, I pretty much want Chunga first, Jinju second, Kane and Wrath. They're all very close. Like, no one's using these characters unless they have no choice or they don't know better. You have Joel, bottom level tank. Again, I think there's going to be an accessory that takes magic damage dealing melee players and really going to help them out. Joel is a magic damage dealing melee player, so let's keep an eye out for that. Kurdan used to be a carry, is now kind of a warrior. Basically, Kurdan, the only way to make... I have a whole video on him. He scales with attack speed, but he doesn't scale directly. His ability hits more times. So not burst damage, lots of little hits. The more attack speed that he has... there are definite attack speed caps right now, and so unless they increase his damage in his ability, there's nothing out there that can get his attack speed high enough for him to be strong enough to do it, to be relevant and viable outside of the first 10 chapters. I don't even know. Reinhardt, I think is his name, is newbie tank. I've seen people do things with him with Reflect. It's not very good. Lily, second best tank in the game. She's a great tank. She's a backup hero. So anytime you're playing a hero lock and you're on a level where your hero lock carry is not able to survive, Lily comes and saves the day. She has a built-in stun, and when she gets killed, she does a backflip off of her golem and makes another golem at full health again. Like, freaking broken. I have a whole video on all the Link heroes. I go into great detail in the Noob series on these characters. They are all amazing, and they all have their place. A Link hero is essentially mandatory for almost every team that you build. Bardry is not so mandatory, but it can be mandatory for some builds. But Link heroes, I would say, are mandatory. Bardry is optional depending on what you're doing. Watch my Link hero build. Just, it's really good. Really garbage backup hero. There are even better backup heroes than this guy. He sucks. He turns into a werewolf. He has a really crappy range attack. He's just awful. Don't play him. Mercil is a healer that also... but her healing sucks. She's decent I'm gonna have to put her up. Well, whatever. She can clear crowd control, but she used to be better, but they nerfed her crowd control. She used to make people crowd control immune. Now she just clears crowd control. The problem with her is that she makes a fixed area of effect. She heals and hurts enemies and allies in this area of effect. She can clear crowd control in that area. But most of the time, her animation and the AI is not fast enough to put that area in a useful place. So it misses as much as it hits, and that's not good. We do have Nabella. Okay, so I made a Nabella Funsies video. I made her a carry. I was able to get like 6 million damage out of Nabella. You have to do a lot of things right for her to do things. She is a damager, a melee damager. She doesn't have much in way of field control. I'd probably put her. She's in the Chang'e Genju world because she is doing. She does physical attacks in order to get to a magical melee attack. Again, I go back to there's probably going to be an accessory that makes these characters viable coming up. Ophelia. Ophelia is a debuffer. You could technically make her a tank. I have put full steel set on her, and I have turned her into a tank, but then you don't really get much of the ability. Her job is, they want you to put her heart legacy on her, and her job is to stay alive while debuffing. That's her job. I think Rawhawk is a better debuffer, in my opinion. Rawhawk has a built-in exposed weakness, and Rawhawk with the Grand Central Sword and the Fear set has a higher and more immediate, more widespread menace option. If you're building a team and you need a body in the front, and you, for whatever reason, don't want any of these other 3 tanks, which are superior, you can use Ophelia. Rawhawk has 4 range, hits the 2 back line instantly at the beginning of the battle, and then will start to add exposed weakness in his kit on top of the Fear set. It's super strong. I have an Ophelia versus Rawhawk Fear set video that I put out there. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please comment on this particular thing. But I like Rawhawk. It happens fast over Ophelia, and I just feel like some animation stuff needs to change to make her good. Now, from a carry perspective, Ophelia could carry almost all of Chapter 11 by herself. Not the highest phase, but she's strong. Her legacy is a little, for being so expensive, her legacy needs to be looked at and improved. Because honestly, I'm getting more damage from Rawhawk debuff than I am from a very expensive, fully tiered up legacy here. That's just my 2 cents on that one. Field control and body. Ren is absolutely amazing. Ren can do damage, but Ren is just a force of nature that an enemy has to deal with. I'm hesitant to put her in as a tank because that's not really her role. She can be a tank if you manipulate the relics enough, but she's definitely more of a mid damage warrior, get in people's way kind of thing. She could carry you through a lot of the lower Great Rifts simply because she has so many mighty blocks. Her legacy, I have yet to max it out. I imagine Ren with her maxed out legacy is probably broken. Rei is the best summoner out of the summoners. She is a carry onto herself. She can carry. The problem with her is she doesn't have much sustain, and she dies. A Belina with like 10 rays will screw up a raid boss. Okay. Rosette is the shittiest debuffer out of these three people. She can only hit one person. She's okay for a boss, but Rawhawk also, you know, I don't know. I guess if you have a raid boss that does a lot of damage and you need a tankier exposed weakness person, that's pretty much what I got. There's a lot of people who do exposed weakness, and now with the new legacy sword, everybody can expose weakness now. So I don't know. Usefulness minus 25%. Saris, I had Saris up here as a carry before, but the latest debuff that I've seen, I guess I have to go here. Saris used to be an amazing carry. That debuff, they did him dirty, man. They hurt him bad. Field control warrior. People sometimes will say that Tayson is an incredible tank. I don't see him as a tank. I see him as more of a field control. Yes, he can be a tank. You could throw a bunch of armor on him and his damage gets higher with the armor and he gets protection. I see him as a warrior because he does field control stuff. He does damage. He does considerable amount of damage. He does more damage than all of these guys. So he just happens to be the most useful warrior. And he has the ability to really, kick some ass. Probably the best warrior on the list, for sure. I don't even remember his fucking name. We're gonna go right here. I think it's like, what is his name? Something with a T, I think. He needs to be reworked. This guy essentially draws enemies to him. There used to be a hysterical build in Arena where you'd put one of him in the very far back, and then you would put ranged guys on either side of him, and all of your opponent's heroes would run at this dude and get clowned by the ranged heroes. So technically, he has field control. He has field control. There is a relic that makes your hero have a it's called like the Myrrh legacy. Excuse me, legacy, not relic, legacy. And it makes your hero immune. I'm gonna do this. If you have all the money in the world and you can put that Myrrh relic on him and make him invincible, it is essentially a tier 1, like high level, god level strategy in Arena. But if you're a noob and you're watching this and you're trying to build like a team to take on Invasion, do not invest in this. This is not good. All right, we're getting to the bottom of this list here. Tia, people, basically you can make, Tia is good in Great Rift, and that's about it right now. As far as mage and damagers go, Tia's kind of like right here. Has burst damage, has some invasion, not viable in the corrupted chapters 11, 12, 13, or 14. If you do Blacksmith Altar with Tia in Great Rift, it's good. Belina is better in Great Rift, period. If you have a Belina and you have a Tia, just use Belina, and you can win almost every altar. It's just, stuff happens, man. I enjoy the character. I don't know what to do to make her better. There is a legacy that's for her. I have yet to test that out, so when I do, I might change my mind on this. But from a damage potential place, you do get burst damage on her, but it doesn't stack high enough for her to be a carry. Again, this is based on chapter Corrupted 11, 12, 13. That's what everything is built based on here in terms of ranking.
you do have a burst damage healer here with Young. There are a lot of people that like Young. Young has like this bounce attack that also heals. There's a world where you could potentially put Fear Set on this character and have her be a debuff healer. I think that would be pretty strong. I've put Critical Set on her. I've put Wind Set on her. I've cracked special damage. You just can never get her damage high enough. And her heal is... there's just other... It's just not high enough. It's just not high enough. I mean, I'll experiment some more with this character. But as of right now, with the knowledge that I have, I put her higher than Mercil because she's hitting. She brings more to the table in terms of damage. She can heal. I've seen her do some good stuff with PvP in Arena. But the healing isn't reliable enough with my current understanding of what her kit is. So this is where she's at. Zhao Bai can pretty much carry 1 through 10 in his sleep, but so can a lot of these heroes at this point. Zhao Bai is probably here. There are people that use Zhao Bai in lower tier Arena. He has the capability of doing a lot of damage, but he was nerfed a long time ago, and then since then it's kind of made him not as viable. I have experimented with him. I've put full crit build on him. I put steel set on him. I've done a lot to see if I can make him viable. He really needs a lot of spell damage, and he is a burst damage hero who just cannot compete with Victoria or Nira. Like, Nira's in the millions of damage range for burst damage. Victoria is in in Invasion, hundreds of thousands of burst damage and field control. He's in the 100,000s, maybe. And another problem with him is that he has not much sustain. So he can get squished when he's not doing his ability. And that's a problem. I always forget this guy's name. Zhao Yang, I think his name is. So I think that special damage and wind set might make him extremely good. I'm going to do a special damage wind set experiment on him and see where he's at. My problem with him is his sustain is dog shit. He does die very fast to lots of stuff. And so, if he's not swinging, he's dying. He does have 2 range, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. This is where I have him right now, and that might change. And the last person I'm going to put in here. Okay, Zupiter is a damage dealer, but right now, Zupiter enables with the let me talk about this real quick. It's this one right here, Immaculate. Okay, you put Immaculate on Zupiter or Zupiter, whatever her name is, and she gets solid because what she does is she becomes the fastest and most reliable mage to create clones. Probably Young does a good job, but I don't think they were realizing that Zupiter is the better option. When you create a clone, and then what happens is the clone takes area and special damage, and then converts a percentage of that to the damage taken by the person who was cloned. When this thing is maxed out, let's say we can go high. When this thing is maxed out, I believe that number, I cannot find a maxed out picture anywhere on the internet. I really tried to look. When this is maxed out, I believe this is like 30 or 40%. I could be wrong, but what ends up happening is you end up with a raid fight or a boss fight, or a strife boss fight, where you're doing yet another type of debuff in a weird kind of way. Another type of damage penetration. So, her on her own, she's like a low-level damager. Maybe, probably around here. However, with that legacy on her, she is a massive, massive support character. Massive support character. And also like one of the enablers of millions and millions of damage. Serious synergy with Priya. Serious synergy with Ian. With Kanak. Ophelia, but I won't even count that. But, essentially it's going to increase the damage because she's going to be making clones so fast that the damage is going to it's going to be clone die, clone die, clone die, clone die, clone die at a very high rate. So you're chunking 10% area damage over and over and over and over and over again. Extremely strong, and that's what makes her good. Outside of that, exploit, she's about here. But I will say that with that, you're pretty much good to go. All right, guys. So that's the end of this video. And so how do you use this information? Well, if you're building a team and you feel like your team let's say your carry that you chose doesn't do burst damage and does damage that takes a long time to happen. So that would be like a Belina or Kanak. Those have to build. Then you might want to have more sustain, and you might need to have more board control. You might even want to consider stun, right? So you could technically take one hero from here, 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 and have a decent team composition. The debuff, stun, and support you actually have to have, but debuff and stuns, they're not interchangeable, but it's just one of those things where you can kind of really, I don't know how to say it exactly, but they kind of fill the same slot, right? Debuffing guys, they increase the amount of damage received. I might go here. She's not a healer. She does expose weakness. I pretty much have to go here. Yeah, her CC clear. It's tough, man. This game, there's no rhyme or reason to have for the shit that the developers come up with in this game. But yeah, the exposed weakness is super strong, dude. Like you have to go here. But in any case, you mix and match. Try not to put 2 or 3 heroes from the same bucket in one team. Like if you did like a Chunga, Jinju, and Enrath build, you're just going to end up with like a flat, low damage team with very low sustain, right? If you did like an Affiliate, Rawhawk, Mercil build, you're just kind of debuffs. Menace doesn't stack. Exposed weakness doesn't stack. You're not going to get a lot out of that. If you go with like a Balmy, Tia, Pharrell builds, you're getting a bunch of mid-level damagers that aren't going to do much, right? So like the idea here is try to pick one from each one of these buckets, maybe 2, depending on the situation, and your team composition is going to be pretty solid, right? And depending on how you build your characters, that might be the way to go. The only exception is if you're playing Void, feel free to go ham sandwich on all the summoners. They're all good. So, all right, guys, that's the end of this video. I hope this makes sense. And I'm going to probably just call this Hero Comp 3 updated or something. So, any comments or disagreements or whatever, come at me, bro, in the comments and help the community, be better at the game through all of our contributions. All right, see ya.